Welcome to episode 79 of Drew's Sports Crew here on this Sunday night after that crushing Packer defeat. Myself, Drew Skyberg. We're here. We're going to be talking about that game, of course. I was at the Brewer game today, too, so I was able to go to the Brewer game, come back to Milwaukee at UW Milwaukee, and was able to watch basically the other half of the Packer game. So it was actually a very successful sports day here for myself. As you see, I'm wearing the Brewers stuff. But as being able to still watch the Packer game, I was still a lot of takeaways for myself in the second half. Looking forward to rewatching the first half as well. But again, I'm going to be having the chat up here if you want to send in questions, concerns, your key takeaways. We'll be talking about them here tonight. And of course, if you're listening Monday and you still want to send in takeaways, of course, please send them in and we'll talk about them as well. But let's get to it. We have a lot of stuff here. We're going to still talk about high school football. That still took place on Friday. Again, Brewers, if you were watching the Packer game and missed out on the Brewers, I got you covered. I'll talk about some takeaways there. But first, we got to go through the announcements, of course, social media at Drew's Sports Crew on the Instagram and Twitter, and then on YouTube and Facebook, Drew's Sports Crew there. And with that, we have hats and the bottom, as you see, they are for sale. So please, if you are interested in a hat, $15, Journey to Million or Drew's Sports Crew, not repping the hats right now, but you can kind of see it in the background. If you look back there, can you see it? Well, there it is. Yeah, there we go. You see the Drew's Sports Crew. There's my hat. If you want in, please, $15. That's all it takes. And we can get you that or Journey to Million. That hat's actually under it. You can't really tell, but it's there. I promise you that. Otherwise, Fantasia, join me on Fantasia. Those links are always down below. Thrive. If you want to begin your journey to $1 million, promo code J2M. Get you started on that. But yeah, live stream days. I got to talk about what is going on this week. So right now it looks like we'll be having, of course, Drew's Baseball Crew. I'll be bringing my daily fantasy for lineups tomorrow night. And then Wednesday, it looks like Journey to $1 million will be recorded as well. I'll make sure to send that stuff all on social media as, it's how we operate. Make sure if anyone wants to come in, they have an opportunity to come on the show, chat with us in the chat, or even coming on as a guest, of course. But those are the main announcements right now. I think we'll start with the high school recap here before we get into what is going on with the Green Bay Packers. But let's go to the high school, of course. So in the high school world, we had week 4 already. Yeah, I know time is flying here. And we had, I chose the game of the week. I said KLC New Holstein was going to be the closest game, and I was spot on. Hate to toot my own horn, but that's how it was. 14-13 was that game. A 1-point difference there compared to a 25 point difference, 36-point difference, and a 47-point difference. So looks pretty good for that being the game of the week that I picked. But let's go to the game of the week right away here. So Kohler, Sheboygan Lutheran, Sheboygan Christian, the KLC Blue Bombers, they get the job done over New Holstein. And not a surprising win. I won't say I was necessarily surprised. I just, with KLC getting the job done there against New Holstein, it seemed maybe New Holstein was a tier up from them. Again, I mentioned this game would answer a lot of questions, and it answered a lot of my questions for sure. I was wondering if KLC was at New Holstein's level, below them, or above, I guess. So I can proudly say we can see KLC, they're evenly matched teams. They're more of an equal tier here. And I would say that, KLC proved a lot of people wrong in this game. And they go up 6-0 to start the game. And then New Holstein gets a touchdown in the second quarter. Then they get a touchdown for KLC in the third. And then New Holstein scores in the fourth. But the extra point was unsuccessful. So that is how we got there. Let's go through some stats, though, in the game. Sean Floyd for New Holstein, 1 for 10 with 2 interceptions. And for rushing, it was Luke Raff, 23 of 126, averaging 5.5 yards an attempt with a touchdown. Also, Cole Schaefer, 11 for 30 with a touchdown for him. Luke Raff receiving, 1 for 24 there. No touchdowns on the receiving end. KLC, let's go to Max Greenbach, 10 for 18 with a touchdown. Cole Brandemule, 6 for 12 with a touchdown, 2 interceptions for him. Big story for running was Nolan Villwalk, 16 for 68, 4.2 yards an attempt there. And then it was Noah Hayden. It seems like we're saying his name every week here. 6 for 66 there. Jalen Paul, 2 for 49 with a touchdown for the Blue Bombers. Again, with them, they get their conference win here. They beat the New Holstein Huskies by a point here in the stats. Then, New Holstein, they go to 2-2 overall, 1-1 in conference. KLC goes to 1-3 overall as they got their first win, 1-1 in conference. Next game here, Kiel Roncalli, 37-12 was the final. Kiel Raiders, they get the job done. They go 2-0 in conference, right? They beat Brilliant last week. They get the job done against the Jets here. And 13-6 was the score end of one, with Braden Reimer having a 40-yard touchdown. But with that, it was really all Kiel the rest of the way, it seems. We'll get into the stats here. They ran the ball, the whole game. Right now we see Dominic Thiele, 1 for 8 with so they passed 8 times there. And really nothing going in the passing game. But the story was Braden Reimer, 30 for 223, averaging 7.4 yards an attempt with 2 touchdowns. And then on the Kiel end, we saw the story being the same thing. They ran the ball a bunch. It was Bryce Gullickson, 14 for 176 with a touchdown. Also, Connor Faust, 5 for 95 with 2 touchdowns. Colin Gossi, also 8 for 92 with 2 touchdowns. 453 total rushing yards for the Kiel Raiders. Got the job done for them. Not much going on the receiving end for both squads. And defense then. Roncalli defense had 2 sacks. One of them by Reimer. And an interception by Cannon Kinsella there for the Jets. But going to the standings, right? Kiel, they go to 2-0 in conference, 2-2 overall. Have those 2 tough non-con games. And for Roncalli, 0-2 in conference, 1-3 overall for them. Let's go next game, the Battle of 151. And Chilton, they got the job done here in a commanding 48-12 win over the Valdez Vikings. And it was an excellent game played by the Chilton Tigers. They did exactly what they wanted to against this Valdez defense. They wanted to run the ball. As many we've seen already, that's what many teams wanted to do against Valdez. They did just that. 41 attempts as a team for 386 yards, 6 touchdowns with that. But going, we'll start with, of course, the Chilton side. Max Miller, 7 for 9. And Hudson Ludwig, 2 for 2 with a touchdown. The rushing, it was mainly Jared Gell, 18 for 215, 11.9 yards an attempt. With 4 touchdowns, Max Miller, 11 for 127 with 2 touchdowns there. There's your 6 touchdowns for them. And then they also had a receiving touchdown by Oscar Rodriguez. He had a 51-yard receiving touchdown for the Tigers. Otherwise, they had 1 sack for them and not much. I'm not seeing anything else there. Let's go to Valdez. Let's talk about what they did. Trey Schneider, 8 for 18 with a passing touchdown there. Also for rushing, Trey Schneider, 14 of 88. Also Kane Kish, 13 for 47. Receiving-wise, we have Elias Sparks, 4 for 34 with a touchdown. Cole Hovey was in the action as well, 4 for 51 with no touchdowns there. Chase Duvedek had a sack is what I'm seeing. The lone sack, it looks like, for the Vikings. But otherwise, going to the standings, Valdez falls to 0-2 in conference, 1-3 overall. And the Chilton Tigers, 2-0 in conference, 2-2 overall. We got one more game to talk about, and let's go to it here. Brilliant and Two Rivers was the game. Two Rivers, I'll say the stat right now. They have yet to allow a point this year. Insane stuff. They're up 34-0 at half over Brilliant. And they eventually win 47-0. And again, let's go through some of the stats. No stats for the Brilliant Lions, unfortunately, here. But we can tell you here, Justin Klinkner had himself a day still, 14 of 23, 2 touchdowns and an interception there for Klinkner. Chase Mathias, 18 of 123, 2 touchdowns. Damian Gretz, 2 for 59 with a touchdown. And then Justin Klinkner on the ground, 4 for 35 with a touchdown. And look, this seems to be a common theme, a balanced receiving attack for the Two Rivers Raiders. Chase Kellner, 2 for 21. Austin Phillips, 2 for 20. Chase Mathias, 1 for 54 with a touchdown. Damian Gretz, 2 for 22. Elijah Mott, 5 for 88 with a touchdown. Xander Pop, 2 for 16. Brilliant-wise, again, no stats. Otherwise, that don't really have it. We have the defensive end. We have 2 interceptions done, or Xander Pop had them both here. 2 sacks, then 1 for Max Mathias and another for Christian Piles. I can report that. So standings report, I'll just read them all now here. We have 3 2-0 teams in conference. Chilton Tigers, Gill Raiders, the Rivers Raiders, all 2-0. Two Rivers being 4-0 overall, I should add as well. KLC and New Holstein, 1-1, both of those squads. And then 3 0-2 teams, Brilliant, Roncalli, and Valders. Stats-wise, Justin Klinkner, 868 there for him, leading the conference in passing yards. Next closest, Max Miller with 493. Then Max Breenbach of KLC with 397. Rushing yards, Braden Reimer, 601 rushing yards, leads the conference. Chase Mathias, 496 in second. Jared Gelden in third with 436 after the big game against Valders. Noah Heinen leads the conference in receiving with 300 yards on the dot. Cole Hovey in second with 250 on the dot. Elijah Mott in third with 238 yards receiving. There is your stats and standings report. Again, WSN, I begin this information on there with coaches, of course, reporting the stats, but go check it out. WSN, their page is linked below. That's the Wisconsin Sports Network. So thank you again to wisports.net for helping out with that aspect. Let's go to choose a game of the week here. So we got 4 games on the slate, as always, in conference action. New Holstein and Chilton, Roncalli Brilliant, Two Rivers Kiel, Valders KLC. My game of the week pick here is Valders traveling to play KLC, the Blue Bombers, at Kohler. It looks like that should be a great game again. New Holstein and them edged out. I'm intrigued to see how this Valders defense hangs in there because, again, Valders, the issue, it seems, has been the run to start the year. How can this team fare against a pass-heavy, maybe not as pass-heavy as they've been, but we still know KLC loves to throw the ball. I think this should be a great game. I think it's going to be closer than Two Rivers Kiel, Roncalli Brilliant, and New Holstein Chilton. So based on that, this game will be the game of the week. So I'd be keeping your eyes on that game if you want a thriller. But overall, I think that's all we have for the EWC report for high school football. So let's move on here. We got to talk about, I guess we'll go to the Brewers here and then we'll talk Packers. But if anyone wants to send in Packer information, of course, we will include that here on this Sunday night. Anyways, let's go to the Brewers. So again, I was at the game, got my Giannis bobblehead. It was quite the bobblehead, but they got the job done. The Brewers did win against the Cincinnati Reds. It was great to see, even though they made it a little close. It seems like they love to do that. They love to make the game nice and close at times, but it was an interesting week. It was up and down for sure. Started great with a 6-4 win in Colorado, and then arguably the worst loss of the year on Tuesday, 7-10. Were they up 6-1 in the 8th inning? And they managed to give up 9 runs in a span of the 8th, 9th, and the 10th. I mean, it was atrocious. Luis Perdomo, hate to name names, but certainly is one to point fingers at in that loss. One of the guys who really had a rough outing. And then an 8-4 loss on Wednesday. You win both games of a doubleheader against the Giants on Thursday. And then 8-2 is the loss on Friday. Jason Alexander was pitching, and it was not a great game. Adrian Hauser puts together one of the best, if not his best, or the best starts for him in the season. 5-1 win on Saturday. Brandon Woodruff did Brandon Woodruff things on Sunday. Had a bunch of strikeouts. I believe 10 he finished with in the game. And the Brewers still only win 7-6, managed to win. Rowdy Tellez had himself a game. Willie Adames had himself a weekend. Awesome weekend for him. Yelich has been doing Christian Yelich things of 2019, minus the extra base hits, but hey, we'll still take value he has provided to this Milwaukee Brewers offense from that leadoff spot. But look, I mean, the Brewers are doing what they need to do to stay in the playoff hunt at least, as we'll get our standings report here shortly. I wanted to talk a little bit about the prediction challenge before we get there. So I predicted a 4-4 record last week. The actual record was 5-3. I've been a game off, it seems, a lot. And this week is no different. So my prediction this week is 3-2. So you got 5 games. You got 2 against the Cardinals in St. Louis. Yikes. You come back home. You play the New York Yankees. You play one of the best teams in baseball. As of late, I know they've been struggling. So you might be like, how do I get three games out of here? I think you got to make a statement in St. Louis. You win either 2 of them. You split that. Yankees, again, I've been like, they still are one of the best teams in baseball, but they've been struggling. I think you can win 1, if not 2 there. I think you can get to 3 wins this week. Might be pushing it, but I like this Brewers team at home. It just is a tough stretch. We talked about it. Cardinals, 2 games. And then we have the Yankees for 3, Mets for 3. You get the Reds then for 4. So, I mean, there's some benefits here. Those 4 games against the Reds, you got some Marlins here. You got a 4 game against the Marlins. So those are 8 games that you're like, you got to go 6-2 at least if you want to end up in the playoffs. I'm still worried here about it. And, it's just some concerns that are going on with this squad. So they're 8 back of the division. I think you throw the division out the window right now. I don't think that's something we can look at. It seems like I say that every week, but St. Louis, 83-58. Milwaukee then 75-66. Yikes there. Let's go to the wild card here. Okay, so Atlanta 87-53 there in the top spot here. Philadelphia 77-62. And San Diego 77-64. The Milwaukee Brewers are only 2 games back of the wild card now after San Diego. They lose back-to-back days here. Milwaukee Brewers, they win back-to-back days. So 2 games back there against the Padres. It's starting to look, it was like 3.5, and then the Phillies were on fire, and it was like, okay, how are we going to do this? And the Padres give the Brewers a break. They start losing games. So that spot is still up for grabs. Right now, that spot would give you a series against the Cardinals. So, it'd be something. That would be an insane series. The Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals dueling it out in a 3-game set. But the big story is the Mets and the Braves are battling for that NL East spot. That's the most intriguing division race right now. Playoff report in the AL looks like Houston at 1, New York 2 seed. Both of them get the bye. It'd be Cleveland and Toronto squaring off 3 and 6. Tampa Bay and Seattle at the 4 and 5. So 2 3-game series there. That would be in the AL. Sorry, we'll backtrack a little here, and we're gonna go back and we'll look again. Brewers schedule, like I said, 3-2. Intrigued to see how they fare, and including looking how the Padres and Phillies, right? Those are the 2 teams. If you're watching, I would say you're not looking at how the Cardinals do each night. You're looking at how the Padres and the Phillies perform each night. Interesting approach, I know, but something I want to keep in mind. Just looking, you can't battle for the division if it's 8 games in a month. Maybe, things can happen. Miracles can happen, but I'm not focused on that. I want to make the playoffs at this point, and that's how fans should be looking at it. I know having to bite at the apple does not sound appealing, and I am too frustrated when that is said by management, but at the end of the day, we're hoping at least, to just get in the playoffs where the positioning is right now. Not ideal, but again, I know. Okay, there's my Brewer rant. But let's go to Packers. I think this is going to be another time to rant here. So, again, I was able to see the second half. Maybe I saw the better half because, I was watching a little the Brewer game. I was talking with, some friends watching it between innings, and I think I saw the better half based on what I've heard, based on stuff I've seen. Again, I'll be looking. I'm looking forward to, and at the same time, not looking forward to rewatching that first half because I still got want to see how the team looks. But look, 22 for 34, 195 yards for Rodgers with an interception. Made some risky throws too in that last drive. I'll add 4 sacks he took, and he also, I believe, had 4 or 5 knockdowns and a 67.7 rating. Look, you cannot blame Aaron Rodgers with some of those sacks and knockdowns because look, I mean, I know we all saw it. It was tough for Rodgers in terms of the offensive line being inexperienced. I guess I should have started this by saying on the game, 325, Bakhtiari out of the game, Lazard out, and Elton Jenkins, all 3 out from this game. And yeah, I was just going through that. But also on the other side, passing wise, Kirk Cousins had himself pretty good, really good day, I'll say. 23 for 32, 277 yards, 8.7 average, 2 touchdowns for him, no interceptions, only 1 sack taken for Cousins. We'll get back to the rushing side, but yeah, 23-7, as you know, was the final. And Minnesota jumped out to a 17-0 lead. And then I guess really a 20-0 lead. A.J. Dillon gets that touchdown in the third. Minnesota gets another field goal in the fourth. But going to rushing here, I want to talk about that A.J. Dillon's performance. A.J. Dillon looked very, very good today. I would say he's probably the player of the game for the Packers offense. 10 for 45 with a touchdown. Had a 14-yard run as well. Aaron Jones, he looked good, but the story really is how A.J. Dillon dominated the rushing and receiving work in terms of the running. He had 5 receptions for 46 yards as well as A.J. Dillon with 6 targets. He led the team in targets. So that's something to add. He had 5 carries, 5 receptions. PPR, in fantasy football especially, had himself a day. I also want to talk Romeo Doubs had a one carry for 11 yards, a little end around action there. Christian Watson also one carry for 7 yards. Let's go to the receiving side. More Christian Watson, 2 for 34. Do we need to talk about that that play in the first? Yeah, tough for Christian Watson. That was Sammy Watkins, 3 for 18. Aaron Jones, 3 for 27, with one of them being 22-yard catch. Josiah DeGuara, 2 for 28. Robert Tonyan, 3 for 36. He was like exclusively used in the second half, it seemed. He did nothing in the first, as many in this Packers offense did not much in the first. But yeah, Romeo Doubs getting 4 for 37. That was something to look at there with 5 targets. Pretty equal target distribution. I guess I should go back to Dillon 6, Doubs 5, Tonyan 5, Jones 5, Watson 4, Watkins 3, Cobb 3. And then, yeah, it was DeGuara 2. Juwan Winfrey, who practice squad guy, elevated 1 for 17. Tyler Davis 1 for 3. We knew this was going to be a tough game for the Packers. It seems everyone said, this game in Minnesota is going to be a loss first week. Everyone said that. And that's exactly what happened. Crushing loss here. Minnesota rushing wise, Dalvin Cook 20 for 90. Decent performance for Cook. I mean, it was 4.5 yards per carry. No touchdowns for him. A long of 16 yards for rushing. Justin Jefferson is the Green Bay Packers owner, you could say, even though they don't have an owner. He is their owner. 9 for 184, 2 touchdowns with 11 targets. I mean, it was remarkable, the performance Justin Jefferson had for the Vikings. Adam Thielen, 3 for 36. Dalvin Cook, 3 for 18 on the receiving end. He had 5 targets, but yeah, Jefferson had 11 targets. Cook had 5, Thielen had 4. That's exactly kind of how you thought it would go. KJ Osborne also had 4, 3 for 14. Johnny Mund, 3 for 17. Really, and then that was kind of really it. Irv Smith, only 2 targets in this game. That is something I would keep in mind. Irv Smith was the guy people in the community, especially the fantasy football community, were talking about as a breakout there. Not really the case here in week 1. So, I would be on the lookout for that. What about defense? Yeah, you might be asking, a lot of people disappointed with this Packers performance defensively. I'd say more on the receiving end than rushing. Rushing wasn't necessarily great. 4.5 yards an attempt the whole game. That's nothing too exciting, but wasn't something that's not something that's going to lose you the game. Allowing a guy to go 9 for 184 with 2 touchdowns and a 64-yard touchdown or 64-yard long as well. That's what loses you the game. Also on the defensive end, allowing 4 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 5 QB hits. That doesn't help either. Zadarius Smith, of course, was just love that sack off on Aaron Rodgers. But I guess let's talk more about the Green Bay defensive side. Devondre Campbell, I thought looked pretty good from what I saw. Quay Walker was a guy rushing wise in run defense. He had some nice plays. Still needs some work, getting adjusted to the scheme. It felt like in pass coverage, especially some run plays as well. Sean Gary still looks like a stud. 2 QB hits, a sack, a tackle for loss there. Had himself a game. Eric Stokes, at least I think in the second half, I like to point out he had some all right plays, had some blunders too. I want to add Jaron Reed. I was pleasantly pleased, I'd say, with his performance today. I thought Reed, he's a guy who you need to step up. Otherwise, on the defense, those were kind of like the main guys. Devontae Wyatt only had a tackle there, but again, he's in a position to not really accrue a lot of stats, so I can't really say much there. Harrison Smith had that interception off of Rodgers, I should add. But otherwise, special teams, you can't say it lost you the game today. Cannot say that, so that's always a good thing to have. Minnesota got 3 field goals from Greg Joseph. Crosby only had to do his work on an extra point. But yeah, the Packers, yikes, week 1 loss. I said it like this. This is what I said. I was like, all right, do we remember last year's loss? We do. Was this worse than last year's loss? No. This was probably a better loss. Again, it's hard to quantify what's a better loss. But I would say this game, at least, it wasn't like a blowout like last year, but I still think there's a lot of questions. I am concerned about this Green Bay receiving core here. When AJ Dillon's your leading receiver, a lot of questions for me. I really was hoping Watson would have stepped up. Really, that play there, that was tough. And we need a guy, Watkins, Watson, one of those guys, Winfrey, even Juwan Winfrey. I mentioned him already. Randall Cobb, one of those guys just has to step up if this Green Bay Packer receiving core, and offense in general wants to do well. I mean, they didn't do terrible in the run game. Like they averaged 6.2 yards an attempt, but when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, you can't be like this phenomenal. I mean, you can be a phenomenal run team, but that can't be like your best asset. I feel like if you have Aaron Rodgers, the passing game certainly needs to be something when you have a guy of his talent. Not a great game again today for him, but we can I'll go through the game a little bit play by play here of kind of what happened, how it happened here, and going through it. So the scoring summary, I guess I should call it. It was, Jefferson got the touchdown in the first quarter, and then a 28-yard field goal in the second for Greg Joseph. Then a 36-yard touchdown from Cousins to Jefferson, and that made it 17-0 at half. That field goal then, 56-yarder, 20-0 AJ Dillon, touchdown, 2-yard run, 20-7. And then Greg Joseph, a field goal, 23-7. Again, that's how you got your final. So yeah, Green Bay Packers 0-1, Minnesota Vikings 1-0. Then next Sunday night, we have a game against the Chicago Bears at Lambeau. I should say the 1-0 Chicago Bears. They get the job done against the San Francisco 49ers in a thrilling upset at Soldier Field. Should be a good game on NBC, 7:20 again. Matchup predictor. I'm looking at ESPN here. Their football power index, they got them 89.1% chance to win the game. Again, how much does that really mean? And then we'll keep you posted on the injury report. Otherwise, let's go to make the final announcements here before we wrap up. So, again, I talked about social media, live stream days, hats, Fantasia Thrive. Keep those in mind. I want to talk about content on Instagram. You'll be seeing, we saw a lot of great stuff. Zach Roush of Journey to Million made some great templates here with regarding our Thrive parlays we've been running, all that good stuff. So go check those out on the social media every Sunday. Those will be out. Check out, you'll see some more reels on the way here on Instagram. We have some great stuff planned in the social media department. So just want to make that announcement. Otherwise, that's kind of all I had here. Right over 30 minutes. Wanted to bring, a football talk, all that good stuff. Talk about baseball in case, Packer game you're watching either tonight if you're listening or yesterday on Monday. Want to bring that to you. So you're in the loop, right? That's all what we're about here. Keep things in mind. But otherwise, that's all I have here. Drew Skyberg signing off. Again, thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you. Thank you, everybody. Good night.